Okay, so right, let's start for assembling this. When you take it out of the box, it's going to be kind of like this. You've got these kind of main bits like that. This is the main battery compartment. You're going to be putting in with that bit top, which is the positive to the top, and then you screw in gently into the back. Make sure you line up the threads properly so it will seat in without rubbing. It feels like someone's cross-threaded at some point, but that's solid now. Now I also put this one on as well, which becomes a kind of tripod, and this is a really useful little thing you can then do to keep it solid. Now, the next thing we've got to do is look out for a little thing here. You can see there on the side, we've got a little indication of which way up this goes. So that means at the end we're going to end up with this looking kind of like that. Yep, that's right. Go to lens and that inserts that way. Right, so I'm now going to add the camera to it. Now the thing you've got to do with the camera, first thing we've got to do, I'd argue try to keep these off because that's going to adjust the balance. Do you mind if I take them off?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to get the strap out the way because that will change the balance. And what we don't want is anything extraneous on the camera screwing the whole thing up. It's a bit like a cookery show, this. The other thing we need to do before we mount it up, we're going to figure out where we're going to put this lens. Okay. At the moment, this looks like it's on about 79. I think we need to be going wide.
Or we could do 18mm. Put the 18mm to 18 to 55mm on.
You could do, but you've got to decide now because the balance depends on what happens with that lens. So I'm going to balance it for the 28mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put this on the back. Now, what I tend to do in this, you'll notice on the bottom of that it says lens. So make sure you put it on that way. I'm going to just quickly put that on, and then I'm actually going to line up that base with the back of the camera. Okay. I've got the bottle opener. Don't need a screwdriver. Tighten up. Now, the reason I put it kind of flush in that and kind of push it over that way is because the centre of balance is going to be around about here, and I can actually put the camera on there and roughly find where that centre of balance is because it tip it forward a little bit. So I can almost stop to balance it about there. And I can see that that's about that between 3 and 4 on there. You can see we've got a gauge on the side, so it looks about 3.4 on that. So it gives you a rough idea. We're still going to be putting on here and checking on that, but you've got a rough idea of where it is. But you can see it's definitely within that space. So now we're going back to this main thing. I'm checking we've got that the right way up, and we're kind of going to try and keep working with it this way to get balanced. So first thing I'm going to do is insert the camera in. In fact, no, I can't do that. So I'm going to adjust this bottom. We've got a screw there that moves that out to there. Okay, so I'm going to pull that out a little bit so I can actually insert the camera in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up quite high here. So all I've done is just release that and pull this up because that gives us a really sensitive bit of balancing there. I'm going to get this nice and tight to the side like that. So you can see there I've pulled the camera in, so we've hardly got any gap there at all. And I'm just going to very briefly try and balance that way and that way. So you can see it's quite top heavy, so I'm putting it back a little bit. And you can see it's about there. Now, this is going to be fairly hard to do because of the way the sensitivity I've put it on. But it is just a guide. I'm now going to put it down there. And what I'm now going to do is adjusting this side one, I'm going to get height because we're now going to find the centre balance of the camera there. And I'm just going to see if I can get it so it sits comfortably about here. I can see that. I'm going to do that, let it go that way. There go. It wants to go backwards, so I'm going to adjust that. There again. Now this is the bit where you're millimetre by millimetre getting it close. In fact, that's back heavy, so I'm going to move it forwards a bit. Tighten in place and just see if we're getting close. Right, that's getting a bit better. Oh, that's not too bad. Now you can see that's pretty much, I think I've found the centre balance on that. So I'm making sure I've got the centre balance here. And what I'm doing, I'm finding a point where the camera moves very slowly as I'm doing it. Okay, I'll just push it down a little bit. So now we should be at a point where, that's going very slowly. But it is kind of going backwards, so I'm going to push it forward just a tad more. There we go. Just realised I moved the lens, so that's going to really, and you can see how putting it back onto 28 has messed it up a little bit. So I'm going to move it back another few mil. Okay, there we go. So actually, we're at a point now where I can pretty much put the camera in a position and it'll kind of stay there. Yeah? Now, you don't have to get it absolutely bang on because the motors will take over. So the fact I can hold it there is pretty good. I put it there and it moves back a little bit. I put it there and moves forward a little bit, but it goes quite slowly. Yeah? That's probably close enough for what we're trying to do. So what we've done then, we've got the camera kind of balanced front and back like that, so it's doing that, and we've also got that height bit there, so we've got the balance through the centre of the camera, so we've got something that pretty much balances so far. Now all we need to do is sort this bit out here, so it doesn't do that. So now we're going to go to this back one here, and I'm going to pull it across just to get it, so I can feel it's quite heavy on that one. In fact, it's very heavy on that one, so I'm going to move it right back there. I can see it's going the other way, so I'm just basically, and this one I don't need to tighten up, because it just kind of sits there. See? And that's the point. That's pretty much the point, I think. So you can see now, I can put it there, and it pretty much stays. I can put it there, pretty much stays. So I can literally, I'm at a point where I can almost position the camera somewhere and it either stays or gently goes. If you spend longer with it, you can get it so it's absolutely solid, but we don't need to because we're getting it so the motor will take over. Now onto the hard bit there. This is the last bit you've got to do. We've got to adjust this one down here, which is the centre of balance right through the centre of the camera here. And the way we do that is by going to the edge here, make sure we've got this, and you can see what we've got. If we've got that way up there, we're seeing it's doing that, seeing it's kind of going that way, so we need to pull it this way. And we can just see, and literally all we're going to do, holding it down with the elbow, you're basically adjusting it. Let's see how close we are on that one. To put it that way a tad, not being too much. Now I see I'm also trying to make sure the lens stays forward on this one because that will affect how it actually balances out on that as well. Because bear in mind, as it moves within the gimbal, it's going to change the balance as well, so we just have to get as close as possible. That's still feeling a bit heavy to me. Yeah, it's still a bit too fast, so I'll put it back. Right, okay, so I'm just going to check that side bit again, just make sure, because I've kind of rebalanced it a little bit, but yeah. So actually, when you see it there, and I'm kind of holding it there, and it's moving quite slowly, I'm kind of quite happy with that. It's not perfect, but because it's moving slowly, it's fine, okay? So when we get back now to this, I can pretty much put it there, and the fact it's balancing like that, that's pretty much what you want, because then when you turn it on, and by turning it on you're just going to press this button at the front here, and what it will do, it will automatically balance itself up. So I'm just going to turn it on now.
Wow.
And there we have it set, although it's moving. No, it's setting itself. It's just, so what you can do, sometimes it can move, and I'm looking at that, it's slightly out, maybe by a mil. We could actually reset that because there's ways of doing that. So what we might need to do is to kind of do a thing where you lay it down and follow the instructions on that to set it. But this is fine for what we're doing today. So when you go like that, we've got a number of modes. This mode, hands left and right. So this is point 1 when you do it. So you can see that it will keep it solid like that. Oh, I'm feeling some movement on there. I'm feeling some movement that I don't like. Excuse me. Oh no, it's okay. Gone now. There you go. Just the battery compartment. Whoa! Right, if it ever starts doing that, this is being a bit weird, just turn it off.
You don't double click it.
I just turn it off and restart it. Not quite sure why it did that. There we go. Do that again. There we go. So mode 1, one click, keeps it level like that, but when you twist the central bit, it pans left and right. If we do 2 clicks on that, if we double click it, 1, 2, it gives us a different mode. Actually no, I double clicked the wrong one, I apologise. So I take the other one. What it does now, it means it goes up and down when you do it like that. Okay? So you can see, it will still keep it kind of, as you can, I think it's called yaw on that one. If I do 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, it puts us in a different one. As we see there, it doesn't yaw up and down, it doesn't twist left and right. In fact, the camera always points in the one direction, so it doesn't matter what you do, camera always points like that. Yeah? That's my favourite one, because that means you can do selfies. And then the last one is pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything goes mad. You're going in different directions.
It just stays in the same place. Well, not in the same place.
Pretty much, it keeps it steady. That's
Yeah.
what keeps it steady, but it means that it will kind of, you can do it left and right and stuff like that as well.
Drug mode.
Drug mode, that's exactly what I called it, yeah. Right, so I'm going to make sure that's tight, that's being a bit weird. But bear in mind, if I put it back into that first mode, it's the joystick there that we're pressing. So each time we double click, we're double clicking that. If it all goes horribly wrong, hold that down till the blue stops, to turn it off, and then restart it. That normally puts it back on to where it was. Now bear in mind, what we've also got with that joystick is we can move it around like that. So you can kind of start to control where you're putting it as well. What we don't have as a function on this, we can't record points. We can't do an A and a B point and have it automatically go from one to the other. You can,
Yeah.
through the app.
Yeah.
Brilliant, okay. So play with that at some point.
You need to remember how to do it, but you can.
It is possible then. So I couldn't remember, because I know you can't do it off here. But yeah, if we've got it on there, that's brilliant. So you could kind of go, right, that's point A, and then mark it, and then focus and get ready, go, that's point B, and then be able to point between the two, which would be really good for music videos. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. But anyway, but yeah, that's your basic setting. And like I said, if it goes a bit weird, hold the power button off until it goes, and you can see, actually, I've got it quite well balanced, because I didn't notice when it had gone off there. And whatever happens, when you switch it back on, it will automatically go back to its central point. There you go.
Is it on or off at the moment?
It is on at the moment.
Okay.
I've left it on. There you go.